I thought about it. Let me tell you guys what I think happened with the Mark Williams and Don't Knect 2031 first round pick trade. Right? This is what I think happened. Rob Pelinka gets Luka Doncic landed into his lap. Right? I mean, served to him on a silver platter. Mind you, Rob Pelinka hadn't done anything. 2 of the top 15 players in the NBA, LeBron James, Anthony Davis, is on your team. And Rob Pelinka hadn't done anything all summer. Dude sat out all summer, which in my opinion is negligent. I get fired if I did the equivalent at my job. This dude sat out all summer. So we're going through the season. The Lakers are doing well. They're playing well. And the $1 million question is, does this team deserve to have Rob Pelinka get up off his ass and do his job? Does this team deserve to have a move made to make it better? Think about that question, right? It's crazy. Sat out all summer, and the general manager got this narrative surrounding him that says, oh, I'm not doing anything unless we prove that we're an NBA champ. He's not going to do his job unless the team that's on the court shows that it's worthy of a trade, right? That's the narrative that's floating around. Anyway, he gets Luka Doncic delivered to him on a silver platter, right? With a trade that 32 out of 32 NBA general managers would make. Then, right after that, he gets up off his ass to conduct a trade. And the trade is Don't Knect in the 2031 first rounder for Mark Williams. He does it like that. In our opinion, watching him sit out the whole freaking summer and going much of the season with a team that looks like it's worth a damn, and he ain't moving. And when he does move, it's for a Dorian Finney-Smith. Right? Not to say he's not a helpful player, but it's Dorian Finney-Smith. You know what I'm saying? And he moved in haste is what I'm getting at. That was the most hasty move he made in 2 years. When he went and tried to get Mark Williams for Don't Knect in the 2031 first. Now, why would he retract that trade? And it's so obvious. Just think about it. What is that 2031 first rounder worth? Yeah, no, morons, it's not just worth a 2031 first round pick. It's not. They're not all created equally. That's why they're 1 through 32, right? What is that pick worth? Well, it's worth the value of Luka Doncic being on the Lakers or off the Lakers. That's what it's worth. If Luka Doncic signs the extension with the Lakers, you could more assure yourself he's going to be with the Lakers come 2031. If Luka Doncic does not sign an extension with the Lakers, that changes the value of the pick, doesn't it? If you think that Luka Doncic is going to be a part of the team in 2031, you're not so hung up on trading that pick. If you think he's not going to be a part of the team in 2031, that's a problem. All of a sudden, you're not just trading Don't Knect and a number 25 pick. You might be trading Dalton Knect and a number 3 pick for Mark Williams. That changes everything. And what I'm trying to tell you is that trade was an order of operation trade. And it should kind of scare the shit out of Laker Nation. Because it's indicative of whether Rob Pelinka is qualified or not. Look, I'm going through some things in my life. And I have to go and find another place to live. Okay? My ability to find another place to live is very much dependent on the order of operation in which I do it. It's not much different than doing math problems. And in math, you have an order of operation. In many different things, you have an order of operation, right? And going to find this new house, right? Well, I got to make sure that when I get the loan, what I need to do in my life doesn't show the credit. So I got to get the loan first, right? And I got to get the house first. And then the other stuff that is not reliant on what my credit is, I need to knock that out after. Right? So let's say I need to go buy a new car. Right? And I'm getting a loan for it. Right? Well, if I could ride my beater, right, and not show that car on my credit, then that helps me when I go buy the house. You see what I'm saying? I mean, this is just regular old life shit. You know what I mean? This is not exceptional. This is regular life stuff. Right? You get the house first. 30 years at the best interest rate you can. You get the house first. Right? You get the car second. You know? If there's repairs and shit that you need it done in your house that you can't do yourself, but you could live with. You live with that shit. Get the house first. You see what I'm saying? It's an order of operation thing is what I'm getting at here. And it should scare Laker Nation that Rob Pelinka hastily jumped into that trade and did not acknowledge the order of operation. Right? Because what are you trading? You don't know what you're trading. You don't know. Yeah, you got Knect here, who I think has mad upside, and you know about that. Right? You don't know what that 2031 first round pick is going to be, especially when you know there's an extension on the table for Luka Doncic. And this dude missed that. Right? Now, a lot of you are going to say, yeah, but he caught it. He caught his mistake, this, that, and the other. The whole rest of the league saw this. Let me tell you something right now, man. I don't know what happened. Right? I'm telling you 100% honestly, 100% disclosure. You know, I'm not even pretending to know what happened. I'm telling you based on life. That was an aspect of it. I guarantee you that was an aspect of it. Right? And a lot of you are saying, well, the trade didn't happen. Well, again, you have to conduct business with 31 other general managers. And they're watching how sloppy you are. You know, they're watching the fact that a player was traded and they actually sent the player back. And while no one technically knows what the issue was, because you could fall back on physical shit all the time. You know, I always say, you know, if a cop really wanted to get you on something, he'd follow you around for a mile, you know, incognito, follow you around for a mile and get you on something. There's not a doubt in my mind that every general manager knows that what is on a physical could be interpreted a million different ways by a million different people. Right? What they do know is when you have an extension on the table for a player such as Luka Doncic, as Nikola Jokic, as Shai Gilgeous, as LeBron James, right? That changes the whole trajectory of your franchise. It changes the whole trajectory of your franchise. If they sign, your trajectory is this way. And if they don't sign, your trajectory is that way. They know that. They get paid to know that. And there's not a doubt in my mind that they looked at that shit and said, man, this dude sent out that 2031 first round pick not knowing whether he had Luka Doncic or not. That's what he did. And it's the not knowing part that should scare the shit. Yo, look, I just got through saying that sitting out a whole offseason when you have LeBron and Anthony Davis on your team is negligent. It's fireable offense. If I did the equivalent at my job, right? I'm not a general manager, but if I did the equivalent I'm an engineer. If I did the equivalent at my job, I'd be fired. It's negligence. Right? I was just getting ready to say, yo, it's negligent not to understand the order of operation as far as the value of that 2031 pick. The trade did not had nothing to do with Knect. That trade did not happen because of the 2031 first round pick. And somebody got in Rob Pelinka's ear and says, hey, hold on, man. This is an order of operation. How could you not have an order of operation? Thinking you could just flippantly send assets out and it doesn't matter. That also tracks. That also tracks. Right? We're Laker Nation. We've seen it. It tracks. Letting Julius Randle walk for nothing. Granted, we didn't know Julius Randle then was going to be the Julius Randle we see now. But even that is somewhat negligent. The dude was playing well before he left the Lakers. And then to let him leave for nothing, you have to admit, while we didn't know he was going to be the player he is now, he had an upward trajectory and he was an asset. Right? We could all agree with that. Ivica Zubac, upward trajectory, and he was an asset. Alex Caruso, upward trajectory, is a player, and he was an asset. And they all walked for nothing. You know, the issue was not Dalton Knect. The issue was that 2031 pick. And the fact that Rob Pelinka was so sloppy that he didn't even think to do an order of operation. In my life, I end up not paying bills, right? Or increasing debt if I don't have my order of operation right. Think about it. When I have a wife and 2 kids, okay? I gotta make sure, a couple things I gotta make sure. The electrical is paid, the mortgage is paid, the water is paid. That shit has to be paid, right? Do I want to go and eat out at a restaurant? Yes. But what's the order of operation? Right? You got to prioritize shit and understand an order of operation. Yo, you guys, let me tell you something. Rob Pelinka is woefully unqualified. He is woefully unqualified. You know, I never liked him. I thought he was a bad GM. Right? That was before this video. In speaking to you about this video, about this topic, I am coming to the realization this dude is woefully unqualified. Yo, this is not just stuff. This is life stuff that every adult has to encounter. Right? A lot of times within being an adult, the option ain't between good and bad. It's between bad and worse. And you have to pick which one's bad and which one's badder, to use improper grammar. Right? And this is one of those life things where it's like, how do you not do this? The fact that you're not doing this should scare the shit out of you. Right? Jeannie Buss, this should be a problem for you. Right? The problem is I think Jeannie Buss moves in very much the same way. But this should be an issue. You know? The fact that you got somebody sitting in that seat who does not understand the order of operation. Right? And what I was getting at was, you know, all these GMs are watching and they're saying, yo, man, don't do business with them. Do not do business with them. They don't have all their ducks in a row. Right? And when they don't have their ducks in a row, you're effing with me. Right? Because Mark Williams had to go back to Charlotte. And Charlotte had to spin it and sugarcoat it the best way they could. But you know what? Charlotte shouldn't have had to do that. Did the Lakers do a wise thing by pulling out of that trade? Yes, they did. They did. I don't know what the ramifications are for that, though, man. Like, I'm telling you right now, I wouldn't do business with the Lakers. I would not, because I'm telling you, all those other GMs know, yo, that 2001 round pick, they should wait on sending that out when you got a Luka Doncic on your that you have yet to sign to an extension. They should wait to send that pick out. Instead, the Lakers did it hastily. And why do I say it was hastily? Because they didn't do shit all summer. They got no problem waiting. They didn't do shit all summer. That's one. And then two, we had to beg them to do shit when the team showed they were worth a damn last year. This is before Luka even got there. We begged them to do something. And what they do? They made a move on the margins. They ain't do anything significant. They made a move on the margins. That's what they did. Right? So that move was hasty. And just the fact that that move could happen, you know, in very much the same way that the Kyle Kuzma, KCP for Russell Westbrook trade happened. You thought that was a good idea. On paper, the whole rest of the world was saying, what? Well, maybe it works out, we'll give it a shot. But really? You thought that was a good idea. Right? You thought it was a good idea to let Alex Caruso walk. Yo, man, it does not look good for Rob Pelinka. And again, I was not one to say Rob Pelinka was woefully unqualified before this video. But just in speaking about it, that dude is so unqualified, man. So unqualified. Yo, if my wife were to operate the house the way he does, the way Rob Pelinka moves, well, we'd have a problem. We'd be fighting all the time. And some of that happened to me. I'm just going to be honest. Some of that happened to me. Right? And it resulted in me having to work. Just to cover the fuck-ups. You know? And it's unacceptable. It's unacceptable that somebody is allowed to move. But Rob Pelinka, he's in over his head. He's in over his head. Now, might he grow into the role? Possibly. He may grow into the role. But the dude is in over his head. Because that is something that can't happen. Right? And while, again, a lot of people they're putting it on the physical. And when you hear the talking heads speak, right, they're saying, well, we don't really know what happened. And all. Again, if a cop wants to pull you over, he's going to follow you for a mile and find some reason to pull you over. Right? That same thing goes for the physical. If a team wants to fail you on a physical, they're going to look at the physical and they're going to find some reason to fail you on the physical. I guarantee you, every other GM in the NBA knows this. They're going to find a reason. And you're not going to be able to disprove it. There's no way Charlotte could have disproved why the Lakers failed Mark Williams. No way. They can't do it. Right? Because it's subjective. Well, what do you see? Well, what do you see? It's two different things. You rolled at that stop. No, I didn't. Yes, you did. No, I didn't. Yes, you did. Right? What you know is that it's Occam's razor. The most logical thing is very likely to at least have a hand in what happened. And I'm telling you, the most logical thing is order of operation. Luka Doncic was not extended. The Lakers traded that pick, right? Somebody, and they got hasty about it, right? They hastily traded for Mark Williams, who was needed, but still, the trade was done in haste, right? Just look at the offseason, look at the regular season. The Lakers did not want to do shit. They did it because they realized they had to, right? Mind you, this is after LeBron and Anthony Davis have been yelling about a center, which is also very ironic. Because had you listened to them, right, and followed the mold of 2020 bubble, or followed the mold of Andrew Bynum and Pau Gasol winning 2 titles with the Lakers, right, you'd have had a center there. But you didn't, right? And then you realized there's no guarantee Luka's even here in 2031. That's what happened, you guys. It's that simple. It is that simple. Again, I got no proof, but my logic is right on. Anyway, I don't know why I felt like I needed to. I don't know what I heard, something that triggered me. And I was like, yo, man, I need to make a video about this shit. Because, this is why. Because the talking heads, once again, the talking heads keep saying shit like, for whatever reason, the Lakers did not execute that trade because of his physical. They keep talking as if the physical is a real reason why. And I'm telling you, that physical is a scapegoat. That physical could be used. Anybody could see anything on that freaking physical. Right? What we know and what many of the talking heads don't want to say is Rob Pelinka has an MO. He has a way of moving. And the way he moves is he don't do shit unless he has to. Once he got those stars in place, he ain't moving if he don't have to. Especially if his stars are aged and aging. Right? He ain't moving if he don't have to, man. You know, and I would rather not just take the word of management at this point. You know, I'm going to believe what I see. Right? You're going to believe me or going to believe your own lying eyes. That type thing, right? I'm going to believe me. Everything I've seen says, man, they realized, oh shit, what if Luka does not extend with us? That means he's not going to be a Laker going forward, most likely, right? And that means that 2031 pick is valuable as shit. Order of operation, y'all. Anyway, please like and subscribe, and I'll catch y'all next time.